Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this Tuesday's edition of Prime Hour on My Media Prime Television. We are coming to you live from Douala, the nation's economic capital, precisely at Fengudron Bange, where My Media Prime's head office is located. On the program this evening, we discuss the desperate need for male children for the purposes of succession. And we are asking ourselves the question this evening, should the women, the wives, be blamed for their inability to bring forth a male child? Also on our lineup this evening is going to be pregnancy and how families, the husband, the wife, can get ready to welcome a newborn. With us in the studio this evening are our regular faces. We are going to begin with our permanent consultant in the person of Apostle Ambe Valentine. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Faith. Glad to have you today as the moderator. Good evening, Cameroonians. Good evening, my co-panelists, and welcome to this wonderful edition. We're talking relationships and marriage today, and we thank God for the opportunity to address this very sensitive issue. And we know by the grace of God, we're going to go back home today with something added in our minds.
Most certainly. We also have in the studio Apostle Alfred Esingi. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening to you, Faith. It's a wonderful thing to see you today on board. We're ready to work with you today and make this particular program a beautiful one.
Most certainly. We also have Apostle Lefford Divine, aka the Love Doctor. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Miss or Mrs.?
Miss.
Okay, just it's good to just clear the air. Okay, good evening, Miss.
Good evening.
Faith. It's been a while. You hosted us here. We are glad to have you as a moderator today, and greetings to all our beautiful viewers all over the world of this beautiful program. I'm glad to be here again, all the way from Boya, the city of legendary hospitality. It's going to be an awesome one again. Beautiful topic, so don't go anywhere. Stay tuned, stay connected. Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding will pour out again, and we are sure that lives will be touched. We want to appreciate all those who give us their feedback, and keep doing that. We are here because you are there. Thank you.
Thank you. You can join us live on Facebook. The page name is BT Media Group. The numbers on your screen and the numbers to reach you. You can send us a WhatsApp message or an SMS. I begin with you, Apostle Ambe Valentine. Today we discuss the desperate desire for male children for the purposes of succession. And we are asking ourselves the question, should women carry the blame because they have in times past, and it looks like they are still carrying the blame today? But my very first question to you is, how important is a successor in an African home?
Yeah, I am very interested in the word Africa because this topic is centered around the continent Africa. The socio-cultural background of the African man is male children succeeding, but something happened recently.
Yes.
Somebody has broken the status quo. That's John Frundi, who just died. His successor is his daughter, Tina Frundi. To let you understand that successorship has nothing to do with gender, and we have to get back to see how we can be able to correct this African mentality, because there are a lot of good ladies, beautiful girls and intelligent ladies in families who could handle and manage circumstances better than men, but we choose to choose even men who are not responsible. We'll get to that. It is important because once a head of a family is no longer present, there must be somebody to direct the affairs of the family. Obviously, leadership is something very important. A nation without a leader, a village without a leader, a family without a leader definitely has no destination, because leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. Leadership is influence, so somebody has to be there to influence activities from a socio-cultural, economic, and as well as financial background. So if at all we don't have family successors in Africa, certain things cannot be carried. And also, the African man has a culture whereby if somebody has to get married, they need a representative that has the right to hand over either the lady, and somebody who also has to pay the bride price as also the representative of another family. So the successorship stuff in Africa is very important, and certain family conduct certain rituals in a certain family, and the successor must be there to execute those rituals. So in the African context, it is very important to have a successor in a family.
Okay, thank you very much. Apostle Alfred Esingi, I'm asking you pretty much the same question, but I'm also asking, like, where exactly did it stem from that a successor must be a man? Must it be a male child?
This is a biblical issue. It stems from the Bible. The Israelites were particular for male children, and the firstborn was emphasized on when it comes to heirship. And as a matter of fact, you will see most of the people who are clamoring for firstbornship or firstborn issue or firstborn heirship are people who believe in the scriptures, are people who came from that religious culture, which believe that Christian religious culture about the issue of the firstborn. But a lot of other traditional backgrounds don't go for firstborn. They rather go for people that follow the tradition of the father, someone who went into a shrine with the father, someone who understood the father's ethics and ways of life. That one is going to carry the heirship. I have one of my friends who is the last born, but he was given the heir of the family and made even the chief of his village.
Wow.
But the brothers became a problem, to him, and then they have been haunting his life to kill him. But the truth about it is that, biblically speaking, we saw how Isaac came up. We saw how the battle between Jacob and Esau was very strong for the issue of firstborn, and it was even told that Jacob stole the birthright of Esau. That is to make you to understand that that birthright issue was not an ordinary thing. It has a lot of impact, and a very strong impact. And the day he sold his birthright, to collect it back became a problem, because every sign showed that he had done something that was wrong in the realm of the spirit. Jesus was also the one that opened the womb of the mother, and he was taken to the temple to be dedicated, meaning that is the first person that is accepted in the womb. And the person that is accepted from the womb, that to be dedicated in the temple, is the firstborn that opens the womb, meaning that the other ones that come behind, they are male, they are they are men, but they don't carry the authority that firstborns carry. But I don't think today is the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. You see somebody having
firstborns are wayward.
So somebody will have 9 children and is still struggling to give birth to one girl. They are struggling to get a daughter. I know of a lot of people like that. One of my friends who just gave birth to a daughter in great support there in Boya. He had, I think, his 3 sons, and they have been looking for a son, and it became a prayer for a daughter, and it became a prayer topic.
Wow.
And they began to pray for it and pray for it, and the day that girl was born, everybody was happy. That's to tell you that thing is shifting. That thing is really going away from the minds of the people. But the society also has been, let me not call it infiltrated, or I don't want to call it like that. It has been changed with the white man's way of life. The white man doesn't see firstborn as truly what is is something to hold on to. The white man rather see the person that works well, the person that does well, it is given to him. And that's what we are doing today in Africa. A lot of families are getting back to that. That's exactly what I see with this issue of firstbornship. It was a belief that came from the Jews, and it came right down to the Israelites. Then till today, you will see the issue of firstborn all over. Firstborn.
So it is a matter of firstborn,
yes,
not necessarily a matter of the gender.
No, not the matter of the gender, the firstborn. If it was a matter of a male, then we have Joseph that was so favored by the father, and the father was ready to hand over everything, but there was still the issue of the firstborn, and his birthright was taken away from him, because the Bible says his father told him that unstable as waters you shall not excel, and that's because you went to my wife, my wife. Jacob had a younger girl that was the wife, and Reuben thought that since he was a grown-up boy, he could just do any kind of a thing, and went to bed with that particular girl, and it became a problem to his firstborn sheep, and it was taken away from him and given to Judah.
Okay.
So that's how this thing works.
All right. So, Apostle Lefford Divine, given that from the explanation of Apostle Alfred, it is quite clear that it was a matter of the firstborn, the child that opens the womb, like you put it. So the male. Okay. So why do we then have this desperation to have just male children as successors if things are changing, like we all are beginning to agree?
Well, I was just wondering, I was just about to ask whether we are focusing on the firstborn or the males. Though he has introduced a lot about the firstborn, but I think our topic is actually is about the male children.
Yes.
I think the challenge has always been the male children has always been, when you look at vision, family vision, family tradition, values, like he mentioned about the Jewish system, which is infiltrated, which is the Christianity, flown into Christianity, and in many other religions, and they generally in the world at large, you will discover that leadership is held more by the male than the women.
Okay.
You understand? And leadership at the home is only a small part of the socioculture, of the reflection of the sociocultural environment per time, per season, or generation. I think if you look at it, it is not long that, I think it's not up to 100 years that women could even vote in the United States. Yes, not to 100 years. That means I'm talking about even for their vote to count. It had to be something. Are you understanding me?
I get you.
Now, so nobody in their right sense then could impose leadership ability to that gender, because it would not even hold in their absence. Because if you look at the way things were run, the girl child was not seen in that capacity. They were often prepared with the managerial skills of the home, but you see that leadership was more invested in the male gender. And if leadership is invested in the male gender, generally in our African tradition, we know that the chief is the man with more wives, more children. That's why even till today you will discover that the Bamileke man needs at least a football team to complete his. Even a woman who is getting married to the man knows that even if I cannot give you, she knows that, okay, you go born for another side. You get it. And this is how it is. Now, if they are looking for leadership in that particular gender called male, then whether you like it or not, these parents, generally giving birth to children has to do with continuity. It has to do with passing down something. So you're asking yourself, who will carry down the legacy I am leaving? And at that time, we did not see women even having certain influence, because leadership is influence, as Appostle Ambe said. I cannot be giving authority when you cannot influence. So then again, we also know that, like we have seen, Reuben lost his title as firstborn and all of that. There was Joseph, other sons emerged, Levi came as the priesthood and all of those things. So a man now decides that, let me sow my oats. It's like you're like, in case, imagine the rough times we are living in. In case this one is killed by an animal, is in case there is a tragedy,
there will always be someone. There will
always be someone to take over. And at that time, it was the male gender we're looking at. So it made the value of that gender to rise at the level of the unit of the family. So, and then to ensure that, like you was in the only picking this. So to ensure that you are not always worried whether my legacy will continue, at least have 2, 3, 4, or 5 of them, and ensure that, okay, even if one fails, another one will go. Although the firstborn usually have an advantage based on some of the reasons that Apostle Alfred has mentioned. But since we're not really talking much about the firstborn and the scripture and all of that, I think that would be a beautiful topic for another time. Yes, but I think that is generally the desperation did not just come. I think it came from that leadership quality and continuity of legacy and all of that. So therefore, like we have now seen, that a great man has given something to a woman. It shows that the paradigm has shifted, and it is reflected also in the society. Yes. Women are now presidents. Women are now ministers. Women are now heads of corporations and everything. So you will see that the gender has risen in authority and can influence and lead if they have certain qualities. Therefore, you will discover that now it has reduced that bargain that bargain that it's only the male, and now women also who can have such an influence in the family can also be entrusted with power.
All right. In the minutes ahead, we're going to be hearing from Mrs. Iveta Sanji, marriage and relationship counselor. But I come back to you, Apostle Ambe. The desperation is still there. It is true we are having a shift of thoughts and all of that. The desperation is there, and not only is the desperation there, women are mostly being blamed for the inability to bring forth an heir, a male. And you'd find out that women have left their homes sometimes. Women have been driven from their home. They've been made to go through hell by their in-laws. And it has also given room for illegitimate children. And women have, even as a result of the pressure that they receive from some of these their African families and all of that, they've been forced to tell their husbands, you know what, since I cannot bring forth a child, a male, probably you should go out and get a second wife. Why is the blame, why is all of that blame shifted to the woman?
Culture. Our culture has positioned a woman at a disadvantaged position. Our culture has minimized the position of a woman. Our culture has forced the woman to produce what she does not have. Our culture is telling the woman to do what only God can do. Our culture is asking the woman to walk beyond nature. They fail to understand that women do not produce chromosomes, neither do they produce hormones in their system. Women don't give birth to children. Women are only channels through which God brings forth children. So if we go from a biblical point of view, the Bible says children are a heritage from the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward. So the woman has the womb that carries the reward. She isn't the producer of the reward. So for culture to try to give the responsibility of God upon a woman is an error of monumental proportion. Nature is trying to force a responsibility that was destined for God to a woman is a problem. Women don't give birth to children. Women are channels through which God brings forth children. Our culture feels or believes that a man cannot be the reason why a male child is not born. And it's a man that plants the seed.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, women nurture. They don't create. So if the seed is female, it came from the man. Because women do not produce. They only nurture what is given to them. If you give her a house, she'll give you a home. If you give her sperm, she'll give you children. If you give her a problem, she'll multiply it and give it to you. So the issue is how much or how many millions of sperm cells flow into a woman's ovaries. 120 million sperm cells biologically flows into a woman. And sometimes 1 or 2 or in abnormal circumstances 5-10 fertilizes. So she collects a seed from the man. So if the seed is male, the man planted. If the seed is female, the man planted. So why should us as humans, or why should we as humans try to put nature's responsibility on a woman? I think it's culture. Women are driven out of homes. Some cultures even cast the woman out of the society for being a witch because she's unable to produce a male child. No! When you plant a seed on the ground, you cannot blame the ground for giving you what you planted. The ground will only give you what you planted on the ground. So you cannot plant cassava and expect the ground to generate plantain in return. A woman is a generator, is a germinator. She does not have the seed. The seed is in the man. That's why right now I'm pregnant. You are not pregnant. We all here are pregnant because the seed is in my loins. If I want you to get pregnant, I'm the one who chooses when a woman should get pregnant. So I am more pregnant than you. I give you a seed to manage for 9 months. I have been pregnant for the past 40-something years. As I'm talking to you now, I feel that I'm pregnant.
You've been pregnant since.
I've been pregnant since. So I gave you the seed to manage, nurture it for me for 9 months. And what you give me back, I begin to blame you. It's an error. Because it's a mind control problem. The culture has given us an impression that a woman is the one that produces the seed. She doesn't. And I think we have to go back to reorientate the minds of our ancestors to make them understand that you can't plant cassava on the ground and expect plantain to grow in return. So I think culture is the reason why the woman is suffering this shock. Every of us here, Apostle Singer is pregnant right now. Apostle Lefo is pregnant, I'm pregnant. And if I want you to be pregnant, I decide. Okay. I give you the pregnancy for 9 months. You take it and manage it, you give it back to me. What are you giving back to you? I give you what I gave you.
Yes.
So the soil gives you back, you plant in it. So the culture is the problem. That's what the problem is. So the woman should not be blamed. She should not be blamed.
All right, Apostle Alfred, let us talk about the role that men play in all of this brouhaha. Your wife is being pressured to bring forth a male child. Let's say, for instance, you're getting to your 50s, you probably are yet to have a male child. Your family is pressuring, the woman is feeling pressured. But you know, just like Apostle Ambe is saying, that it is not the woman's fault. But we have men that stay silent in the face of all of this. Your wife is receiving all the bashing, all the hate, everything from your family, and you are silent, knowing fully well that it is not her fault that she's been giving birth to probably girls for the past 10, 15, 20 years.
Okay, that's fine. I would like to tell you something very strategic today, why men insist on having male children. Men want a legacy, they want a name. Because the girl children will always go to their married houses, and they will get the names of their husbands. Their children will bear the names of their husbands. But the sons that you give birth to today shall bear your family name and shall transfer that family name to the children, especially if you're a successful man. But even though some of our sons, when they become successful, they push aside the names of their fathers and decide to take their own names forward, because at least they are more successful than their parents, so they decide to promote their own names. That's exactly why a lot of people prefer. And that's why you see somebody say my hair, what they are looking for is the name. Because daughters usually marry, and when they marry,
take on the name of their husband.
Yes, and they become family. Part of the family.
So it's not really a gender issue. It's not who is weak, who is strong.
This is about something that people feel or they think, and the way society has made it to be. It's very normal for a girl to get married today and decide to assume the name of the husband, even though there are some few that will want to say, no, I keep my family name and I also add another name to it. That's it. We have few, and most of the few that decide to add a name on their family name without removing the family name are successful women. Women who have made it in life.
And the man will be comfortable with that.
Good. Yes. And the man will not have a problem. But if you are coming from a very poor background and you are not successful, you can't be able to remain with the name of your father. The man will bring a lot of troubles to you and you will not be able to hold it. That's exactly what is happening in our society today. And we have to look at all these things, and that's why we have to put our mouth into it and begin to educate the society on how these things work. So that we should not be saying that why are the men saying they don't want this, they want male children, they want male children. They are looking for their name, they are looking for legacy, they are looking for their generation. They want their children to be called after their names. Take for example, Apostle Lefo is having one daughter now, and immediately she gets married, your name is at stake.
It's at stake.
That's the truth. His name is at stake. And he will be called, she will be called by the name of the rich husband. If the man is a rich man, they will never call your name. Yes. Okay.
I was very well to get to the question.
That's exactly why they feel that a woman should be able to give. And now let me tell you why men blame women, and why I think the women have a role in it.
Okay.
Because technology has gone to a very far advancement, and the women know when you can give birth to a male child and when you can give birth to a female child.
But these men blaming these men, do they really know that?
They know. A lot of people know now. There's Google. Everybody check it and see. The first days of your theta period is girl children.
What about our uncles in the village that don't know all of this technology? They have been blaming on it yesterday. Yes, they have been blamed back in the days. Back in the days, they used to blame. It happened before, back then.
You are trying to ask us contemporary decisions, and I'm trying to tell you that you can give birth to a male child if you want today. You work with your doctor to give birth to a male child.
But shouldn't it be a shared responsibility? Shouldn't it be a shared responsibility between the man and the woman?
Now,
why is that when he fails, the woman has to
look for somebody to blame? That's what you should have asked me. Let's look for somebody to blame. But I'm trying to tell you what should be done or what can be done.
Okay.
The women know it. They know that when they are the first days of their fertile period, they can give birth to girl children. But when they are in the later days of their fertile period, male children, they know it. Your doctors can work it out with you, and doctors have been doing it, and it has worked for many women. You see, so that's what I'm trying to say, that if you're being blamed today for not giving birth to a male child, that's not an excuse, and we should not be supporting maybe a woman for not being able to know that. Because to be ignorant does not cause you to be innocent. The fact that you did know does not mean that because you can ask these things. And that's why we go to maternity. And if you go to your maternity, you follow your antenatal very well, they will always tell you that, okay, this
should not know.
That's it.
Now, when you say the man should not know, let's get back to why the men usually don't know it. Because of what? Women are usually trained and groomed differently, even in our Christian circles. We have several women meetings in the churches, but you hardly hear of men's meeting.
How many
Several women's meeting. This visitor is coming for a women's meeting, women's outreach, women's conference, and they teach them all those things. So why are women not walking up to that?
Why is very evident? It's very evident that these women are groomed or trained. I'm coming to you, Apostle Lefford. I'll come back to Apostle Alfred. Why is very evident that these women have received the training and are probably in today's contemporary is different and all of that? Does that still mean that the men themselves shouldn't hop on the trend and assist these women or making sure that they work together to bring forth that male child? Because the point we're trying to make to establish here is the desperation and the blame. Why are women constantly the desperation, then the blame?
There are two topics here that are very vital. One, we are looking at that desperation for the male child.
Exactly.
And we are sounding like, should he really be there? Or why?
Yes.
And then secondly, why should women be blamed? Okay, let me try in my own few minutes. There is something that there's something that Apostle Alfred has pointed out here, and it's very important. You see, this God that made two genders is not stupid. You see, a lot of times we forget that these two genders have their roles. And that's the reason why there's a lot of confusion today with so-called women emancipation and women this. We have all agreed here, we have looked at it and seen how a lot of confusion has actually been raised in the aim of defending or empowering women by bitter women, because you can say the right thing with the wrong spirit. No, we must understand this. Not everything that somebody is saying is because, for example, somebody who is living on the street can't be mentoring you on how a house should be. No matter how truthful what he's saying is, know that there is something about what he is saying that is not from the right spirit. You get what I'm saying? Now, my point is, like he just pointed out, there is a reason why men and women are raised differently. When you begin to go up, even as a man who is as a counselor and everything, you will discover that a man can easily forget even his wife's birthday.
Perfect.
No, and that does not mean he does not love her. No,
yes. They should find a way to not forget.
Exactly. That's what you will say on a podium like this. And then now a woman will watch this and say, tell them, Madam Faith, be telling them, all these men. But you see, let me tell you something. He might not even plan. He can even remember it right up to yesterday. But he wakes up this morning and one call makes him forget. And you know around midday, hey, he can even go and see but somewhere. Now, why? It's because even our different roles played also makes us operate differently. A woman will tell you the way you were dressed, the day they met you, and you took them out to so and so place, and all of those things, and a man will not. Because we are wired differently. So we have to maximize our differences and not always trying to superimpose those differences. And now let me explain something Apostle Ambe said. Whether we like it or not, women have a disadvantage. I always say it. And let me explain that disadvantage.
Okay.
One, there's a reason why they are raised like that. One of that disadvantage is, do you know, if you and I've always thought that, many people have always been taught that there is what is called, gender bias. they are promoting this man in the job and not promoting this woman. But let me tell you something, and I'll be very honest. I'm talking as a consultant, and there's some things that, of course, legally they can even try you in the court for saying this thing I'm about to tell you. But if both of us have equal qualifications, equal intelligence, I'm not saying that I am more intelligent than you. Equal intelligence, equal qualification, equal experience, and you and I gone for the same job, I will be chosen over you. And I will explain why.
Okay.
I will most likely, I'm talking even as a consultant, even a consultant will advise the company to choose the man. I'm talking
why is that so?
Why? Because generally a woman does not own herself.
Really?
Yes, especially married women. You are answerable to your husband as Lord. If you go back now, you are not married, so you cannot understand this kind of stuff. So if you go back now to your house, this now, you see, I was always only talking about how you have seed and you can put it out, you have seed, we'll talk about it after. Now, but you see, if you go back to the house now and your husband say, tonight you are getting pregnant. Are you getting me? So I talked with some companies and they told me behind, sir, we will sign ladies, give them their probationary period, finally enroll them as permanent staff. The next week they come with pregnancy, and now because they are permanent, you have to give them paid salary plus leave. And work does not stop because you are pregnant.
Goes on.
Work goes on. Now just that simple fact, and you will have to be that some people's pregnancy are determined in 2 weeks after, 3 weeks, because of that you don't even determine how it goes.
Swelling from the leg, for permission,
throwing up, exactly. So when they think all of this, then for them to get to that point where they cannot control your love life, because they will not control your love life, they will prefer to go with the man. So all this I am trying to say is also affecting the way these men and these women are raised. For example, now you will see that you might not understand how important it is for a man to raise a child and just lose his identity, because the day a woman goes to another house, you lose your identity. It's gone. So this is a very crucial thing.
So it is, their desperation is valid.
It's valid. It's valid.
It has a lot.
It's valid. But now you will discover that, check all the women who have stood the test. I know, of course, the richest woman in Africa has a very unique story. She's married and very submissive. But that's one out of how many?
Yes.
Check the general trend. The outstanding women in the corporate world are either divorcees, single moms, or they have, or they got something after they have married until they are no longer giving birth to children. I don't know if you're getting the picture. And most of these women, yes, and most of these women will always be called they behave like man. They behave like man. Yes. They behave like man. You will discover that's not the average feminine. The average feminine operation cannot take you far in the corporate world. You get it? So when you understand these things, Dangote's child can keep the name, because even the husband will say, you will keep the name. I need to walk around and say, I got married to Dangote. Exactly. But now,
and the man can even take Dangote's name.
Yes. So we are not saying that women have not been marginalized, but I'm saying that it has been happening, and there are some reasons for that, and we cannot automatically. There are some things that if you put on the man, you also have to reduce a certain load from them.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, stay with us, beautiful people. Keep your messages coming. We're going to be reading them in the minutes ahead. But for now, let's hear a feminine voice. Yes, let's go to the seat of wisdom, that is Bamenda, where Mrs. Asanji Yvette is going to be giving us her take on tonight's very first talking point.
Hello, Miss Faith. Good evening. Good evening to my co-panelists. Good evening to our televiewers. Ms. Faye, talking about the aspect of succession, male children for succession, I think men in particular need to understand that when we talk about male children, the woman is not supposed to be blamed for bearing just female children. Because this is where some men don't get it. They blame the woman for not giving them male children, and sometimes they go out there to look for a male child. I've seen cases where a man goes out there looking for a male child because the wife could not put to bed a male child, as per his conception, of course. And he went out there, the first child he came out female. He tried again, second child he came out female. He tried again, that's the third time. guess what? The child still came out female. That's to say that it is not what a woman is giving that is a problem. It is what you are giving the woman. Now, most men need to understand that the man has the X and Y chromosomes, but we women, we have just the X chromosomes. And so when the X chromosomes meets the X chromosomes, it's obviously going to be a female child. But when his male, the male chromosomes, which is the Y, if it meets my X, then it gives me a boy child. So if I have to bear a boy child as a lady, it's coming from you as a man. It's what you give me that I produce. It is what you give a woman that she reproduces. So let us get some of these things clear, because most men have really traumatized, that put a lot of women into depression because they cannot bear, male children in quotes. If your wife cannot put to bed male children, my brother, you are the problem. Yes. Even though I would say that both of you are the problem, or both of you don't understand how to go about it, but the blame does not lie on her alone. The blame lies on both of you. Let me explain what I mean by the blame lies on both of you. Now, while the lady has her role to play, like she should know her menstrual cycle. If she could track down her menstrual cycle, know her period of ovulation, it could work in her favor. Okay, so children that, let's say if you have sex during ovulation, obviously it's going to be a male child. Why? Because the Y chromosomes are more faster. The male sperms, I don't know how to put it, but I think the male sperm somehow, it runs faster, and if it goes and meets an egg, it fertilizes that egg. So obviously it will be a boy child. But in a case where the Y chromosomes, which is the male child, the male sperms, if it runs into the uterus and it does not meet any egg to fertilize, in as much as the Y chromosomes is faster, it does not have longevity, like it cannot stay for too long. Unlike the X chromosomes. The X chromosomes can stay in your system even for 3-4, healthy sperms can stay in your system even for 4 to 5 days. So when you see cases of female children all the time, there is either these people, either the wife does not know her ovulation period, or most of the time they have sex and the ovulation takes place later, and then when the ovulation when an egg is being released, it meets the X chromosomes, and thus it produces a girl child. So if a husband and a wife are looking for boy children, we can advise them on when to have more of sex, but we'll come back to that. But let me go back to the aspect of succession, which has become a problem. Mrs. Faith, I think I should just come back. I'll come back in the next contribution to talk about that.
Thank you, Mrs. Yvette Asanji, for that brilliant contribution. And from what you said, we can deduce that it is very clear that for a male child to come forth, it's supposed to be a collaborative effort between the man and the woman. Moving to you before I get back to Apostle Lefort Divine. Apostle Ambe Valentine, you've been listening to Apostle Alfred as well as Lefort Divine tell us that it is part of the African culture. It is part of what we've known over the years, that the male gets to succeed. Why? Because he's going to maintain the name and the legacy of that family. What's your take on these different contributions?
Yes, we have first of all mentioned about technology. That
yes.
Technology has grown to the extent that I want to put it to my fellow panelists that this thing existed before technology came into existence. This thing is older than the Google we have right now. This thing is an age-long custom that has been registered into the psyche of Africans. So some are not even fighting because they think that the woman has a technological understanding on how to manage the situation. They know that a woman must force and cough out a boy child at all costs. That's what the problem is. I'm trying to emancipate the women because men in Africa have imprisoned women to do what God does. Men have decided to cause women to do what nature does. This technology we are talking about, that if a man sleeps with a woman with Y chromosome and X chromosomes, our fathers in the village did not know chromosomes. Our ancestors knew nothing about chromosomes, and women were punished in those days. As a matter of fact, a man could get married to 4 or 5 women because they were looking for a male child. They married the first woman, she gives birth to females. He married the second because she's looking for a male child, because the mentality is that a woman is supposed to be the one that must produce that male child. The problem we are facing here is also the fact that if they say a success must be a boy, we are not looking for those who are male. We are looking for intelligent people. They are very irresponsible and useless male children. I'm telling you, the person who has handled the German government in the most excellent way is Angela Merkel. Angela Merkel is not a female. The person who managed the Brazilian government very well, the Liberian government very well, is a woman, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. The person that managed the Brazilian government also is a female. So I think we have to go out of this cocoon of insisting of a male. That male can be somebody that can cause the family to sink. What we are trying to challenge us here, the legacy of leaving a name in a family is very different. Because this issue of that, if you don't have a son, your son cannot. If your son does not want to maintain your legacy, your son has a name. Your son can still wipe your name. That's the truth. And the idea that if you give birth to a son, the son will keep your name in existence. I'm asking you, that's the question. My question I'm asking is that the essence of this name that remains with a son that can wipe every heritage of the family without being responsible. Solomon said, when you die, he said life is full of vexation and emptiness, because you will work property on earth and then you die tomorrow. You don't even know the kind of person who is coming to manage it, even the person even as intelligent as you are. So are we trying to say that people should handle responsibilities to individuals who can manage it, or we should follow gender? That's the question. The next I want to emphasize here also is that there are many persons also who have calculated this period, chromosomes, X chromosomes, and still fail. These things are all tried by error. You and I know that girls have followed their menstrual cycle. They know safe period, they know unsafe period, they follow it and they still got pregnant. People have also followed these Y chromosomes, X chromosomes, and no child came. At the end of the day, it wasn't the man's Y chromosome that brought problem. It was the woman's X chromosome that brought a problem. Why is the error always on the X chromosome, not the Y chromosome? That is the problem. I was a pastor in Ambe, very young pastor, 2003. A lady was chased out of the home because she could not put to bed. Oh yes. Only for us to find out later that it was a man that was impotent, not the woman that was barren. Because mention the word barren, it is female. Yeah. This girl went and fell in love with some other person, and her first pregnancy she had twins. And the man would chase her away. So sometimes some men also have very weak Y chromosomes that cannot bring forth male children. My problem is, if a child comes out as male and female, it is a shared responsibility of the father and the mother, because women don't cough out children from the realms of the spirit. Women do not decide the sex of a child. Women are not the one that plant the seed. And I think this one should be registered in the heart of every individual watching this program, that a woman is not the giver of children. A woman is a channel through which children come. And if at all a woman is a channel, then we should be able to know that if a child comes out as male, it isn't the woman's fault. We are talking about technology. This technology we are talking about was in technology in 1951. Was this technology in 1932? Was it in 1920? Where our fathers will tell you that if you don't give us a hair, you cannot stay in this house. That's the problem. We need to reorient the minds of Africans from this their cultural background that a woman has the capacity to decide the sex of a child. It's a lie. It's a lie.
Thank you so much, Apostle. Let's take a few messages from our viewers concerning tonight's talking points. This one says, I believe women should not be blamed for not giving birth to a male child because children are all gifts from God. That is Alan watching us from Gara. Good evening to you, Alan. This one says, good evening, I'm Mo from Yaoundé. The man who prefers a male child for his successor nowadays is making a huge error. Men have failed, and we know it. Okay, good evening, Miss Faith, and to all the entire panelists in the studio. What an insightful topic tonight. However, as for me, no woman should be blamed for not bringing forth a male child. It is clear for the fact that the Y, that is the male genetic chromosomes which are present in the males, comes from the father and not the mother. Hence, sex of the child depends on the father, not the mother. On the other hand, bringing forth the male child depends on both the man and the woman, and of course, both as couples need to sit down and work upon the methodology of the woman's monthly menstrual cycle, or visit a therapist on how to conceive a child. Denzi Bright from the UAE. Thank you so much, Denzi Bright. This one says, greetings to the amazing Faith and to you all in the studio. Thanks for bringing up such a sensitive topic today. Our women suffer this issue because we do not understand how the sex of children are determined. Please permit me, as a medical student, explain a little from the medical point of view. A woman has an egg which is always the X chromosome. The male sperm, which is can either be an X or Y chromosome. When the egg and sperm fuse to form a child, females have the XX chromosomes while male have the XY. So the Y part of the male's genotype solely, completely and entirely can be brought by the sperm, that is the man, and never by the woman, that is the egg. So if your wife isn't giving you a male child, it means you are the one who is constantly only sending the sperm carrying the female gene. You are the one bringing in the girls, not your wife. You should be trashed. If you can go and get another woman, you still get pretty baby girls. Thank you. It is Richie from Boya. Thank you, Richie from Boya. We have this one from Peter White Assam from Libreville, Gabon. He says, good evening, fellow panelists. I am happy to be in front of my TV set with all of you today with this interesting topic. My contribution about blaming a woman for not giving a male child is really just to make you understand that it is not Google that taught our parents in the early days, but because our calendar of the ancient times made them to do so. For instance, our calendar of the early days had 13 months. So it made them to understand that male children are given at midnight, while females can be given at any time from the unsafe period. Tackle Peter White. Thank you. This one says, blaming women for not bringing forth children, male children, is not fair or accurate. The sex of a child is determined by the father. Good evening, ladies and gents. I am excited watching you people from Bafusam on such a sensitive topic. Bencha Peter Ngwai, thank you so much. Good evening to you all in the studio. I'm Gesang Francine, writing from Betwa. I am sorry. I don't agree with the panelists who said women ought to know their menstrual cycle, because I have seen doctors have all female children when they wish they also had male children. Thank you all for participating. Keep your messages coming. Let's now talk about the strain that this desperation evidently brings to homes and consequently leads to a beautiful marriage being broken to shreds. Should we then continue with this desire to have male children, whereas we realize that because of this desire, like Apostle Ambe was saying, women are chased out of their homes, families are divided, women are blamed, whereas it is really not their fault?
Thank you for coming back to me on this. I just wanted to say something. Maybe I was misunderstood, and that's because I never answered the second part.
Now you can answer the second part.
Yes, I never answered the second part. Now, I wanted to say, first, we talked about the desperation. There are two things we're talking about. Men hunting for male children. Yes. And I wanted to say that we are also looking like he has gone back to the occurrence from the root. I've also gone back to the root to explain why. I think that's a major thing we're trying to do. Why some of these men would want male children even right up till now. Yes. Because a lot of things have changed, but the love for male children is still there. Still there. Are you understanding me? And that's why I look, and that's why I've said there was this foolishness also of the past. I think I've mentioned it here, which is what Appostle Ambe has talked about, where people are just doing things. Just how they used to sacrifice what we call albinos or mukala
twins.
twins at for a Pasamoto in Boya here, when people did not understand that that was a genetic defect.
Yes.
You get it? But now, yes. So now, science, illumination has come, and people realize these are human beings who have just had defects. Some people thought that no, it should not be done. Twins, triplets are bad luck and all of that. We Africans have had these cultures that sometimes it was hinged on some truth, but now culture has a way that with time it becomes, especially mixed with ignorance, it becomes arrogant. And it does not have a foundation. Like people just want nature, like how he's talking about sending somebody out of the house because they cannot give you a male children. In fact, I don't even see why you should send somebody out of the house who cannot even give you a child. We have talked about it just even yes, because, and I know that, but the typical African man, like we have said, needs a successor, needs his legacy, like we have mentioned here, and we are trying to say that these points are not small points to be ignored because we want that. But now, bearing in mind that you want a successor, it comes down to my second point. The successor to me must not therefore be only a male, because things have changed. Okay. Like I explained to you earlier, that a woman then, even if you gave the woman all kinds of authority in the house, that woman will not be able to run your business. Who will listen to her? Who will listen to her talk? But today people are listening to you, Madam Tata, talk. You are moderating 3 healthy men. That's not something that would have happened 50 years ago. Who is giving you right to talk in the midst of men? Are you understanding? These societies have changed. Now, with this authority, it means that even if your own father gives you certain rights or certain things to run, you can have that. Even there's a cultural acceptance for you to do certain things now that is not there before. So my point now is that with this second part, I don't see why home should be pressured anymore to all this and that. And I think it also brings into light what Appostle Appostle say, that even science has upgraded, because even apart from catching this period, now though this is for rich people, but you know, I hope you know anything that is for rich people now will soon also be for the poor man, because anything that was expensive will soon go down with years. But right now you don't even need to be the one to catch this. The doctors can catch. In fact, if you want twins, man, just meet me after this. Not that I will give you the twins, but I'm telling you that I can lead you to people. Now it's if there are procedures that if you want twins, they will not only educate, they will ensure it happens medically. That means you can even choose the sexes of the twins you want. It has become like that.
I think there's a celebrity, I can't quite remember, who recently had twins. In fact, most of them now determine the sexes of their children.
So you see that knowledge, enlightenment, socio-cultural changes has created better or more accommodating environments where we should no longer be talking a cake. Come up from my house, you know, if you born Pekin. Oh, this, you know, if you give me man Pekin and all of that. Because now we know better. Yes. And now, even ladies have a certain right that can enable them to even to be caretakers, to be custodians of what can be left. And I think this has changed the game. And foolish men now will rest. Just the fact that you have a penis does not mean you are the one to rule. We just need the intelligence and the character enough to continue with the legacy.
Most certainly. Thank you so much, Apostle for Divine. Let's now once again continue to hear from Mrs. Yvette Sanji, marriage and relationship counselor. When we come back, we're going to get the way forward with regards to the first topic, and then we dive straight into our second topic.
Okay, I'm quite happy that the narrative is changing. You can see, for example, the successor of Nijon Funzi is not a male. His successor is a female. So you could begin to ask questions like, what happened to all the other male children? Why a female child? That's to say that it does not matter who sits on like they say, your chop chair. You know, it does not matter if it's a male or it's a female. I think what is needed is that they have that ability to do what? To run the affairs, to manage the things, to carry out the responsibilities that is placed upon them. It is not a matter of there must be a particular sex male or there must be a particular sex female. Successorship now is not a matter of male or female thing. It can be anybody. And even till date, I want to say that things have changed to the extent where Even when the father is dying or so, you know, in his will, he shares his property to everybody. I mean, both the male and the female children. It is no longer the thing of, yes, women will go and get married. And so what? If she deserves to have something from her father, why not have it? So male children now have properties, female children also equally have properties. And you can see that even now, some female children have proven to be more reliable, to be more responsible, to be more trustworthy than the male children. So we should not, you know, make it look like it's a problem when you're bearing only female children. Sometimes, not even sometimes, we do this in counseling all the time. When it comes to premarital counseling, one of the things that we check is how many children do you want to have? When do you want to start bearing these children? Equally, we check, what if God gives you only boy children? You know, we begin to check that mentality. What kind of mindset are you having at this stage that the children have not started coming? We do this so that we can correct certain mindsets that people have. I've counseled people and they say, no, no way, I need a boy child at all costs. I say, okay, so what if your wife is not, you know, putting to bed male children? What will you do? He says for now he cannot say bed. In that kind of a case, you already know that this man is the kind of person that he will obviously want to go out there and look for a male child. So we check with you. What if God blesses you only with female children? What if God blesses you only with male children? Even as we're talking, not everybody even wants male children. I've counseled people who are pure feminists. They grew up that way. They believe in female, and she could tell me, no, I don't even want boy children. I said, okay, what if God chooses to bless you only with boys? So it's not even just a matter of successor, male children successor, but we equally have these feminist people who believe that male children are not even, like she does not even need them. She prefers to have her female children because she believes a lot in the female gender. So, but during counseling now, we begin to check some of these very wrong mindsets and begin to correct them. And I will, every couple that passes through me for premarital counseling, I bet you must think of what you can do if God gives you either only male children or all female children. I throw it to you and I await your response. From your response, I will know if you're that kind of person that will persecute your wife, maybe if male children are not coming or so. But in all, we make it known. Children are children. Children are a gift from the Lord. The Bible says children are a gift from the Lord. The Bible does not say male children are a gift from the Lord. Children are a gift. So the earlier we stop treating our female children as if they are less of human beings, or the male children as if they are more important, the better. We should start training our children. Let them know that whether you're a girl or you're a boy child, you are all very important. And whether you're a girl or a boy child, whatever chores that is needed to be done, everybody does it. There's nothing like a male child does only this or a female child does only that. We train children nowadays differently. We train them the same way because that male child will be somebody's husband tomorrow. So prepare them. And the female child will be somebody's wife. In those days, they prepare women and nothing was said about men. Okay, I will have my last contribution. I'll be coming back.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Yvette Asanji. We take a few messages before we ride on. This one says, hi, good evening to you all in the studio. I am Yankee from Tico. I want to ask the question. My first child is with the mother. What do we say about it? I think your question is not quite clear. What do you mean by with the mother? Is there a problem with your child being with the mother? Maybe I'll ask the apostles what they think about it. Good evening, Faith. I'm enjoying the program, especially Apostle Ambe's narrative. I think subsequently it will be nice to equally invite a medical practitioner to throw more light as regarding the sex of the child. It's Andy from Boya, most certainly. Dear Prime, women should not be blamed, but naturally women are child bearers. The fruit of the womb is a reward, but the fig tree was almost cut down by Jesus because the tree did not bear figs. The home without a male child is a problem. The mother says the children of her male children are her true grandchildren, but another says the male children of their daughters are the true inheritors of their families. From these points, male children are very important in a family. ABC from Boya, good evening to you all in the house. Women should not be blamed for the gender of the baby. Gynecological supervision requires funds of which most persons can't afford. Women are reservoirs and would reproduce exactly what you give them. To me, in this 21st century, women can fit in any profession as long as they have the brain and intellect to do so. Greetings to you all in the studio. Thanks for bringing up this topic. I think that the sex of the child should not be blamed on the woman. All right, this one says, good evening to you all in the studio. Blaming women for not bringing forth male children is not right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Apostle Ambe is a walking encyclopedia. We need to take him to higher levels. Zainab Binji, thank you so much. Good evening to everyone in the studio. According to your explanation, as we understand, the Bible was written and brought to us in Africa, and by implication, a firstborn in Africa is so significant. Why then is it that the white man who wrote the Bible does not see it as a matter of any importance? So why are we trying to contradict the Bible per the African way of worship and belief? Prince from Berlin, I think Apostle Alfred is going to answer that question. He says the white man does not consider this gender thing as a very important thing, but they are the ones who introduced the Bible to us. Why is it that we Africans have taken the Bible and we are focusing on something that originally they had never focused on?
I think what you're trying to say here now is asking a lot of complicated because God brought so many things and they themselves are not keeping it. If you go even to the churches of the white man, he's no longer holding. Some of their churches have been turned to industries and factories. Yes, they're not holding. Like a place like the British, because they're the British people who brought the Bible. They're the ones, the missionaries that brought the Bible. Most of their churches have closed. People like those who really made waves in those early days in Christianity in some of those countries. You know, you go to Britain, sometimes you want to see the churches, it's mostly the old people that go to church or whatever you see. That's why we try to say that, you know, like come to Africa now, you want to see everywhere is youths. Most of the churches are filled with youths, young people, and so on. Because the African man always knows how to take something and interpret it his own way and multiply the effect of it and give it back to you. You will never understand that is what you give them. That's what the African man does. So, the African man always believes in culture. The white man also believes in culture. But the culture they believe is different from what the African man believes. Now, the African man saw strength in men and believes that men were inheritors, believed that men can better control the family. That is why even during slave trade, men were the ones that were being sold. The women were left behind. Yeah. That is exactly what was happening. We cannot behave as if we don't know that the African man also looked up to men and they counted on the men for most of these kind of things. And that's what I'm trying to say, that men are noted for strength, for wisdom, and for some other things. It's of recent that education have come and has exposed the female gender. Education of, okay, now the white man is also forcing us LGBT and all the others. That's the kind of thing, you know, all those kind of things. They have brought in so many things and it is almost choking up the African man and their culture. So firstborn was one of the things that the Africans embraced, and they saw that it was good because when a boy is married, it maintains the family name. When the woman is married, it goes with the family name and changes it to another family name. So it became a problem. Now, are we trying to say that it is right for a man to just get up and talk to a woman carelessly because he can't give birth to a male child or whatever. No, it's not correct. Some female children have been raised and they can do better than men. Of course, that's what is happening today in our society. Most of the females do well. They are the ones that can take care of their parents. Most of the men don't have time for their parents today. That even after they go, that's all. You want to hear that the man is abroad, he goes there and stay for 18 years, 20 years. But females can't do that. They will always be thinking back about their family and whatever. That's why most people decide to hand over things to their girl children and that kind of thing. Now, somebody was trying to cite John Frundi. You see, if you want to ask, that's a proper let me say Bamena man had that culture that's strong, but decides to leave it over to the daughter. Now you should ask yourself, what did he see in the daughter that he didn't see in the sons? It's because all his sweat, his nights and days, the daughter was standing with him. The daughter learned his way of life. Yeah. The daughter learned how he could do things. The daughter was there to follow up all those things. And they obviously don't leave it. And that's exactly what people are doing today. It's no longer the issue of male, or it's no longer the issue of firstborns, but it is rather who follows your culture, who stands with you, who can preserve your property or whoever. And that is what I want every man out there to see things to look like. Get to your children and raise them. Those who are interested in what you do, please form them. But unfortunately, most people are always reminding the boys, you know you are the one to take care of the family. You know you are the one to take care of, and they make the woman to believe as if she is not the one to take care of the family, which is very wrong. Don't educate your children and begin to bring segregation in your family and make the men to feel that they are men. Even after they become drunks, they are still trying to remind us that they are firstborns. Go and see these boys in nightclub telling us that they are firstborns. And you know, it becomes a disgrace to the society. You don't tell us that you are boys or you are firstborn when you cannot deliver. You cannot protect family heritage. You cannot protect your own family. It is your sister that is providing for you. Your sister who is married is the one giving you everything, is the one doing everything for you, and you are calling yourself a firstborn. It means that there is something wrong, or there is something a problem, or you say you are a male. Come and see our male. Truly, the men who boast today of being a man or firstborn are usually those ones that are misfit in the society. Correct men don't boast about it. They just do it. They just be who they are, and they are selected or they are chosen. Most of these guys who are talking about firstborn, we are the firstborn, they are usually the misfit, the ones who are not doing well, the ones who always think that you will use the name firstborn to interrogate us or to intimidate us, so that we will not be able to talk about. I'm a firstborn of both my father and my mother, and I stand to represent that because I know what society is all about. But thank God for Jesus. It's because I came to know Jesus. That's why I could follow that light to be able to maintain the firstbornship. If not, I would have been a useless person, because most of the firstborn in my family don't do well. That's how it goes.
Thank you so much, Apostle. We continue to read from our viewers, and then we'll get the final words of Mrs. Yvette Asanji on this particular topic. This one says, good evening to everyone in the studio. Thank you for today's topic. The idea of blaming men or women for the gender of the child has never made any sense to me. In our body, we have the ability to control certain things like our hands, legs, eye movements, but we can't control our liver function and other organs. Similarly, the only role we have to play when it comes to bearing children is to release the sperm for the men and accept the sperm by the women. Thank you, Collins from Boya. This one says, in many African cultures, the preference for male children is deeply rooted. For instance, in Cameroon and other African societies, male children are often seen as carrying on the family name, inheriting ancestral property, and continuing ancestral traditions. This can lead to societal pressure on women to produce male heirs, even though the determination of a child's sex is beyond their control. Religious beliefs and religious teachings may contribute to the preference of a male child. For example, in certain religious contexts, the there might be beliefs that male descendants have specific roles in carrying out religious practices or rituals. Scientific understanding. While science has clarified that the sex of a child is determined by the father's contribution, cultural beliefs may overshadow this understanding. We also have economic factors, educational and employment opportunities, and more. Thank you so much, Jimo, Marilyn, Funkika, for watching and for participating. Blessed evening, Ma, and to all the great men of God on the show. I celebrate you all for the wonderful talk. Please, I wish to ask a child, with regards to the intelligence of a child, does it come from the father or the mother? Should I answer that, Apostle Lefo? Does the intelligence of a child come from the father or the mother?
I asked whether you should answer it.
Yes. You're here.
Okay, I should answer, or you
you should answer it.
Okay. It is often, I think it's the scientific research is there that shows that there's a lot of influence from the side of the father. But you would see that no matter what, it's just like how the soil that a seed is planted also has a lot to do with the productivity of the crop. But generally, the seed is the primary factor, but the soil matters. And I think females have a lot to contribute, even intellectually. It has actually been a scientific debate for a while, but we have actually seen a lot of factors that have been brought in from the men. But generally, we have seen that hereditary is kind of from both. Just like there is big T, small t, you would discover that if like when we studied genetics in school, big T, small t, stroke, big T, small t, one child comes and becomes very tall, not because just solely on the father, but it was also a function of both. So, and then there is also an all-age argument. Is it nature over nurture or nurture over nature?
But some people also argue that no, if you want an intelligent child, you should marry an intelligent woman.
No, but intelligence is a factor. It's a factor, whether we like it or not. Intelligence is a factor. Yes, and but you don't need two super intelligent parents to give birth to an intelligent child. But it's definitely a factor. Okay. There is a dullness and all of that can really affect progeny, whether we like it or not.
All right, Merve from Boya, I think the woman should not be blamed for giving birth to a male child because it is the man who plants the seed. The sex of a child depends on the father. The men whose X chromosomes are faster than the Y chromosomes, hence they are bound to give birth to female children. Oyo Theodore from Manfe, good evening, sir. Thanks for the good and educative program. I wish to have the number of Apostle Ambe. Thanks, Pascal from Loom. You're certainly going to have that. Tashem Bully, Julius writing from Bamenda, in our culture, we know that when we have children, girls go out for marriage, boys stay at home to become the successors of our parents, not girls staying at home to become such. Good evening to everyone in the studio. Good evening to everyone in the studio. This is a very sensitive topic. I am enjoying it. This is Ndile Thomas watching us from Yaoundé. Agbo Tambe Ferino says, good evening, Faithy. Apostle Divine is very correct, but the man determines the sex of the child by nature. This thing is a 50-50 probability. We just need to accept the gift from God. Well, let's hear finally from Mrs. Yvette Asanji, and when we come back, we dive straight into our second topic.
In conclusion, I want to say that our children are the same. Be it a male child, be it a female child. And let me also seize this opportunity to correct another kind of mindset that people have. Some people refuse to get married to single mothers because they believe that the child will grow up and go and look for the father. I want to tell my viewers, those who are watching us today, that it is not all children that will grow up and go and look for their father. That's the first thing. Second thing, you will not even know the child that will help you tomorrow. I bet you can abandon your stepchildren or refuse to marry a lady because maybe she has a child, because you want to grow up your own children, and tomorrow you realize that none of your children are even anything. If you are somebody who is mature, you will understand that children are children. Even when you meet children on the way, when I meet a child on the way, if you're doing something wrong, I discipline you like my own child. So the earlier we have that mindset that the children are children, Whether it is a stepchild, whether it is your biological child, whether it's an adopted child, you can never tell who can help you among all of those children. I mean, who can help you tomorrow? Because we have seen cases where somebody abandoned the stepchild and said, no, this is not my child, so I will not do anything for them. And then they concentrated on their own children, and his own children became criminals. Guess what? It is rather the stepchild that is doing everything for him. So please understand it. The fact that somebody is a single mother is not a crime. I'm not encouraging women to go and get pregnant out there. I've always preached for that sexual purity. I've always encouraged no premarital sex. But should, in case somebody already has a child and you are refusing, as a man, you're refusing to get married to her because you think the child will do this, no. I said you can never tell who can help you tomorrow. I mean, among all the children. So that was just an aside. But to come back to the aspect of successorship, every child is the same. Every child is the same. The earlier we know this, the earlier we accept this, the better. And I can bet you that there are some female children who can play the role of successorship, of successors, better than male children even. There are male children that you put them as successor of business or whatever, they drain everything down to those level. But you know, women have that caring ability. If a woman should be a successor in a family, I bet you she will do even better than what some men can do. She will bring the children together, bring unity, try to see how she can, restore love. Because women are naturally what? Carers. Women are naturally what? We care for people. God created us that way. So I want to say that if you're watching us today and you don't have a male child, and the aspect of childcare is so much in your head, first, it's not very relevant. I'm sorry to say it. It is not a must that somebody must sit in on your behalf. But if it is that important, take note equally that it is not a must that it should be a male child. You are not going after gender. You should rather go after who is a potential child. That means a child that can run the affairs. A child that can meet up with the responsibilities that is needed. So let us wipe away that idea of no male child, no. Now some people have only male children and they are crying for female children, while some have female children and are crying for male children. The earlier we understand that the child is a child, the better. That male child can still do what a female child can do. That female child can do what a male child can do. We are not giving them titles, we are giving them responsibilities. And we are giving those responsibilities based on their abilities to shoulder those responsibilities. So whoever has proven to shoulder responsibilities in your home, amongst your children, could be the successor. It must not be gender, male gender. I think that's my take on that. Thank you so much, Mrs. Faith. And I want to say to televiewers that this Sunday 13 is my birthday, and we are having a seminar in Bamenda on building relationships and marriages that last. You don't want to miss this. Thank you so much. Please follow me on Facebook, Councillor Mrs. Asanji Yvette. Thank you so much, Mrs. Faith.
Thank you so much, Councillor Mrs. Asanji Yvette, for putting the cap on that particular talking point. Let's now move to our second topic for the night. How should couples handle pregnancy? Apostle Ambe Valentine, we're talking pregnancy, we're talking the fruit of the womb, we're talking the gift of a beautiful baby boy or girl. Firstly, what should couples consider before even choosing to say, you know what, let us have a child?
Yeah, pregnancy is the first major responsibility of every couple. Once they get married, their mentality starts changing immediately. They start thinking of having a baby, because you are a husband and you are a wife as soon as you get married. But as much as you become pregnant, your start to change from a wife to a mother. That woman is an individual but has two different responsibilities. She now serves two persons. She's serving the present generation and she's serving the future generation. So assuming the office of a mother makes you someone who is serving the future. The status of a wife makes you what is serving the present generation. So the acceptance of pregnancy means the acceptance of responsibility. Responsibility on both sides, because the man has a role to play, the woman has a role to play. Number two, acceptance of a change of status. Your status automatically change. You are now considered a mother in the society. You're not just considered a wife in the society. Number three, the responsibility of a wife is different from that of a mother. The attention of a woman gets drifted towards her child when she starts giving birth to children than the husband. And so most women make the mistake when these slight changes take place. So, and that's the reason why you see sometimes people start having serious marital challenges when they start giving birth to children. A woman starts giving birth to children, her attention is drifted towards her children entirely, and the man becomes very jealous because his own place is not given. You must understand that once you assume the responsibility of a wife and that of a mother, you must be able to satisfy both ends, because the children are sucking the breast, the man also is sucking the breast. So be wise as you give the breast this time around. The breast should not be given to the future and be forgotten the past. So we have to understand that this responsibility is very, very, very strategic and very serious. And also, a man who is impregnating a woman should expect strange behaviors. It is certain. We have experienced it. I have 4 kids. First 2 ladies, last 2 boys. So I understand how a woman changes with attitude, temperament, emotion when she becomes pregnant. If a man does not know how to manage this, the man will either think the woman is stubborn, she's trying to transfer her frustration on him, but they fail to understand that it is not a woman alone that carries pregnancy. True. It is the collective responsibility of a man and a woman to carry their pregnancy for 9 months. Why do I say so? Sometimes she puts her leg on your neck, because that is where the leg has to stay. You are part of carrying that pregnancy by sustaining her leg on your neck. Sometimes she gets you up at 2 a.m. in the morning. She wants to eat fried cockroach. You have to look for where fried cockroach is sold in the city. Apostle, are you looking at me here, Apostle Alfred? You should look at me. All of you are part of this thing. She says she wants to eat sweet yam when it's not the season of sweet yam. That's part of your way of carrying the pregnancy. So don't say, when I got married to you, you were not like this. No. As the pregnancy is growing, that's how the trends of events are changing. Her attitude will not be the same again. So people who don't understand this are people who are experiencing pregnancy for the very first time. They get angry, they get frustrated, sometimes they even insult the woman, but they fail to understand that every child that a woman carries in her womb comes with their own attitude. They say that children normally influence the behavior of their mothers and equally vice versa. It's the same way, because the child feeds from what the mother feeds. Yeah. If the mother is running, the child is running. The mother is feeding, the child is feeding. If the mother is drinking water, the child is drinking water. The mother is drinking alcohol, the child is drinking alcohol. So you realize that there is a connection between the child and the mother. And the child will want to drag the mother to behave the way the child is. So a woman, when pregnant, does not actually operate like a woman. Sometimes she operates like the child in her, because the sentiments and the feelings of the child are sent through her senses. Then she reacts like that child. But imagine one of your age, you work at 30 kind of nonsense kind of you behave so. No, it's a child in the womb that has taken the center stage. The child is now manifesting his or her attributes through the woman, or its attributes through the woman. So that's how we have to know how to manage it. Because sometimes they will ask pepper soup at 2 a.m. in the morning when you don't even know if pepper soup is found. Then they will tell you that you should warm water and come and press their waist. They believe you are a doctor. They don't need to know whether there's a doctor in the hospital. As soon as there's an medical attention needed, you, the man, you must play that role. And if you are not able to adapt, it's called adaptation. If you are not able to adapt to this new trend, you are going to face a lot of challenges when it comes to pregnancy. So it's really sometimes complicated to live with a pregnant woman.
True. So, Apostle Alfred, how best do you think that a man can provide support during this period of 9 months?
You see, what I think Apostle is just saying right now is just trying to get us back to that era where people think that firstborn is the ultimate. Women used to behave like that before. But with education, women are adjusting.
Okay.
I saw a particular movie where a lady was pregnant and they went to the restaurant with the husband. They bought good food for her, but she saw another man eating with appetite. She said that is the food she wants to eat. They said, no, okay, let's buy that same food. He said, no, it is that one that the man is eating that he wants to eat. That one is a character problem. It is not pregnancy. Yes, that's the truth. There are a lot of things that we should not mix some of these things. These things are
what implication will take away
because we also have some it's quite evident that we also have some women that exaggerate.
It's just like my points are usually attractive.
Right.
Because some of these women are suffering from character defaults, not necessarily because of hormonal changes. I am telling you the truth, because a lot of people, after education and some other things, they behave rightly and correctly. To know that when you start hearing that feeling, you have the power and the ability to change it. You can decide to say you are feeling like eating. It's just like when you are not even pregnant, you still have appetite for certain food and you refuse that you're not going to eat. And you can still tell yourself that you don't want to eat this. And that's why Christian women have been groomed to behave differently.
You feel that women can, when they are pregnant, they can really control their cravings. We even have women that cry.
Yes.
There are women that want to eat, how I say, raw mangoes. They want to eat carabachel during pregnancy.
Yes.
They want to go out and smell when rain has fallen on gravel and all of that.
Yes.
Those things are cravings. That
they are cravings, but it's not every woman that craves for it that goes for it. Okay. That's what we should accept. It is just like having an appetite for something. You know, you say it is normal to have maybe erection, but let your erection not give you direction. That is how this thing is supposed to be. So we should be able to calculate all these things, that this thing is normal. When I am usually pregnant, this is my behavior towards this. And you begin to take precautions before the normal time. Because maybe your husband was not giving you some nice things. Now maybe you can use that particular time to eat the nice things you want to eat and begin to do all those kind of things. That is okay, that is it. But now look at the supportive nature of a man. A man should study about pregnancy and childbearing before you even get married. Okay. Yes, you should study it. Go to the internet, make findings about that, know it before you get there, so that it doesn't take you by surprise. My first daughter, we did laboring together with my wife, 2 o'clock in the night. I was moving with her up and down. We were doing this. So she was not feeling the pains as if I left her alone. I already was aware that there was something like that there is a period of travailing which needs the husband to be around. And I was around, sleep was hitting me, but I was around because I prepared my mind for that. Now, at the beginning, you would observe some things that are going to be happening to the children. You can discover diseases very early if you are observant. You can discover, like one of my children has a mild autism syndrome. You know, there's mild, moderate, severe, and profound. Yes, normally, it doesn't manifest so early to some children. But you see some traces and you know that this particular thing is coming up, and it can be arrested early.
Because you were observant.
Because you were observant. But a lot of people don't do it. Mothers don't also know it, so they don't observe. But men who are attentive enough, like myself, There are a lot of things I told my wife about my children, and that is exactly how she sees them growing. Because I said, this one is gifted and talented, this one is special, this one is like this is how we should work with this particular one. Do you know that you don't treat a gifted and talented child the same as you treat a one who is slow learning?
A child with probably special needs as well.
We need to learn this. We need to know it, that children can never be the same. Don't treat all of them the same. You can, but when I say don't treat all of them the same, does not mean that you should show a particular interest or love to one particular person. No, but you should be able to go and monitor their space, their slowness, their fastness, and know which one is which. Don't just join all of them and tell them that, look at that one has passed. You cannot pass. You know, some of them are slow learners, and some of them are fast learners. You will see that from the beginning. How they start learning. One of my daughters began talking very late. She began talking very late. And of course, I knew that later on in life is going to have maybe a default in speech. You know, because there's a way that a child struggles from child, you will know. And when the child is crying, you look at the tongue of the child, it can tell you whether there is tonsillitis or there are other things. Now, why are men supposed to know this? I'm saying this because I'm a man. And I did my best to know it. Till now, I am the one working with I've stopped my wife from dealing with my two first children because I want to help them go through adolescence, teenager and adolescent. Because you must know, as the children are growing, you must know the differences. You don't treat a child of 5 years old the same like you treat a child of 12 years, 13 years. They are entering. They begin to realize that their voices are getting bigger. They begin to realize that they feel big. They want heroism. They want somebody to be like. You know, every day I get up, I look at my children. I see my child wants to copy me and be like me. So I must work out every day to make sure that I build some values, even if I don't really have those values, but I want him to grow in that kind of value. I build it around him so that he could be able to learn some of those things, because that is when heroism comes in. When you see children want to be like Bruce Lee, they want to be like Jackie Chan, they want to be like John Cena, they begin to carry their younger brothers and sisters and hitting them on the ground and those kind of things. But parents need to observe this. I am so fond with children, so it helps me a lot. And then again, I did a little bit of educational psychology, which gives me a background of how children should be monitored as they are growing. Parents should play a great role in developing or working in the lives of their children. You know, especially the ones we call deviant behaviors. Those deviant behaviors do not just come from space. It came as a result of peer influence, which also means that you should be able to watch the kind of children that your children relate with all the time. It comes like that. So we are working from the beginning with our wives. I know that all of us are not available to observe all that, but some people, when they come, the little time they come, they observe the children. They watch, they see their little girls, because there are some parents who think that because a child is very quiet, it means that the child is a good person, and the one that talks too much, they say they're a bad picking. But that quiet one is as dangerous as what you can think. So when I see the quiet ones, I look at them like this. I say, you know, I know you know. Daddy, you like for worry. You know, you understand? So men must play these roles. Whether we like it or yes, if we want a good family, we must be able to play these roles. Observe them. My first daughter is 17, and there are a lot of challenges that she gets because she finds herself in an environment where, you know, big girls, they're trying to behave like big girls. She also wants to be like that, and they've also told her that, no, it's good to have a boyfriend and that kind of a thing. So she feels that that atmosphere should be able to, she has to fit into that atmosphere. But you have to be like a father. You have to be the first man in the life of your daughter. You know, you have to be, she has to believe you when you talk, because if your daughter doesn't believe you, she will believe other people. That's exactly what it is. So we are calling on parents, please don't leave it for the women. The men should play it, because I have experienced that. They send a lot of teenagers to me. They send a lot of children to me because they see how I raise them up. My children pass the exams, the GCs and all the like. I teach them even during the time when they're about to write, because I also know how to keep them busy during those periods. You should not keep them busy all the time. You must write, you must write. Know how to create an environment where they can be relaxed and also to come to study. Because if you only come, when I never study, Ken, whap, whap, that is not how it should go. So men have a great role, because there are some families that it is the masculine feeling around that family that makes the family what it should be. Because if you leave everything for woman, which you actually say may do, he could raise her like a woman now. Then tomorrow I begin to say, I won't make things all day useless. So our men are supposed to, let me not take much of the time.
No, it's very sensible.
Yes.
You're saying we need to accompany these women
Yes.
all through, from pregnancy right up to raising the child.
Yes.
Something that some men neglect. Let us talk about accepting lifestyle changes when pregnancy happens, the hormonal changes, mood swings, cravings like we're talking about, and also the kind of words to use on your woman when she's pregnant.
Yes, I love when we talk about feelings and changes, and whenever it talks about feelings, you see the way women get, see the way you're already talking at me, looking at me, you're already feeling so emotional about it. Yeah, it's a good thing, but I will want to bring a balance for what both panelists have said. The truth is, accompanying our wives through the process is very necessary, but at times we have misguided expectations.
Okay.
And most of the times our offense, it's just like all of us here have been offended in God. Have you ever been offended in God? To be honest.
No, I have.
All of us have been offended in God. And that's not because he's not a good God. He has not changed from being good. But because he just did not behave the way we wanted him to. And sometimes that's where we have issues. Apostle Ambe has brought a very beautiful things, because anybody who has had a wife, who has had a child, will tell you, or will tell anybody who has not had, that prepare for changes. Yes. Whether you like it or not, change has come. Not will come. Change has come. In fact, girls who used to think they cannot shout, wait, just have a child. Then you will know that there was shouting inside you that was covered, that was hidden. It will just burst out. That's why most girls finally discover some of the characters of their parents that they thought they had avoided and buried. But when they have a child, the anger you thought you had survived from your mother, you soon discover you have it. That's why you have to be careful, because that's what you can even say, using those bad words you were planning you will never use on your own child during that period. So what I always advise, just like how this depression thing has come and all of this thing, is this: there should be a healthy understanding of our roles. Apostle Alfred has given some good points, how he really invests, but the truth there is, few men might have that time he had to do what he did. And I want to bring that balance, because somebody might, and now want to say, can ye to Apostle Alfred the talk, can ye correct man picking for the answer, can ye something. You know, as we're talking, I'm just talking about, yes, another person say, can ye something, as you work as you over busy for Apostle Alfred. Now I want you to let's bring a balance to this thing. Yes, there is something called misguided expectation, and some of these girls with this character flaw, like he said, push this thing to an extent. In fact, they have small groups where they sit and say, you do not have your master. So the time this walkie pork may year for his skin, and all of those kind of things. You get what I'm trying to say? Just how people have picked up debris from foolish advices, from hide my ID things on social media and stuff like that. Yeah, so we have to be very careful. There is a healthy balance. For example, I also had that experience. Imagine I was living in Munya. My wife is pregnant, and she decides to go on labor on a Monday morning, in the early hours of a Monday morning, which the ghost town was still at its peak. You can't call for a taxi. Who will come? Now, and then imagine the place again, the Munya environment. Now, and that's 2 a.m. Monday morning that no car moves. You can't call anybody. I walked with her. We walked in labor. In the night, in fact, we passed police posts and people were like, who said that you go down? They were shocked. I walked with her right to, in fact, I'm talking for those who know Boya, right from the new hospital that they are building in Munya that are suspended due to the crisis. Walk right to Kawa.
Wow.
2 a.m. You can imagine that. You understand? That's part of the process. But because sometimes people do great things, but you need it to look in a particular way before you're like, this is something. And we walk through it, and because you also prepared yourself for it, like he said, invest in knowing. So I want to advise anybody first, like Apostle Ambe said, emotional intelligence is very vital when pregnancy is coming. In fact, you are talking about the future here. You are talking about the future. You are talking about somebody who did not choose to come, and now you are responsible for a major part of their outcome. So it's something to reflect on, and that's the reason why last time Appostle and Ambe were hammering that we should not normalize single parenthood.
Yeah.
Because of what, like, no, we're trying to say that let's not make it like it's some show, which has become now something that people are doing it and bragging, I am like this. When, because part of being like that first shows that you have problems, which you should have to accept. You should not be making like, yes, God can make anything beautiful to come out from every ugly situation, but sometimes we must understand that there's also what we call the perfect will of God. You understand? And that's why it's very necessary. We're talking about that conference. So it is important for us to understand that you will need emotional intelligence. Yes, hormonal changes happens, just like how women are generally more emotional than men. Because even of the hormonal differences, men begin to think. So the women should also accommodate and appreciate what the men are doing. Because if you are only thinking about how the man is, that's why intelligent women appreciate the fact that though I am down like this man is bringing this. He cannot be with me the whole day and still be able to raise that rent that is very expensive. You know, so there's a healthy balance.
So you're saying some women are very capricious during
yes,
pregnancy?
yes, and then they're not appreciating other things. You understand? You just want to feel like, no, come and sleep with me. No, go
maybe
walk
they hear
today.
what their fellow women
Exactly.
are going through when they are pregnant, and they expect their husbands to do so, whereas their situations are different.
Real men don't give time to women.
Yeah.
It's jobless men that give time.
Exactly. We should
Even during pregnancy?
yeah, no, that's the point that we're trying to make.
That is commitment.
Yes.
That we should not.
No. It is a healthy balance.
Comedy, it's
Yes.
a reality.
That is a comedy.
It's not
Yeah.
comedy.
Well, my healthy balance.
Let me round up.
And what I'm just simply talking about is saying that Apostle Ambe is right, Apostle Alfred is right. It just comes about with the wisdom of how to balance this. It means that those great men, I think one time my wife had a seminar and talk about the price of marrying a great man. Those great men you are appreciating will not give you the time that people with jobless men are describing. Are you understanding me? And now that's why I was trying to balance what Apostle Alfred said, because he has a walk and he was walking this walk within a, for example, if he was walking, let me just use like how his wife is walking now. If he was walking the kind of job that maybe his wife is walking now, I'm just for example, I'm not saying that he will not do that, but he might not have been able to do, because he is very careful, like he said. So even when you come back, like
pastoral duty. Whose children used to get bad boys? It's not pastor's children. As a pastor, I devoted the time for
it. Yes,
that's it. I could also go do the same things that others do. That's what I'm saying.
So when you come back, like they say, for example, I might not be all the time there. That's why you need to also. I used to tell people, I said, if you have a wife that can raise your child in the way of God, in the way you want to go, it's a gift. And this should not be minimized, because with today career women this and career women, people, David Ripo ask David Ripo, how did this children tell Allah? He says, the truth is, I don't know. Ask my wife. You get it? Now look at the kind of children he has raised with that kind of man's schedule. So I want to say that let's do this healthy balance, do our part as men, but women should understand that men will not always operate as women. So don't always think that they will come and just do things just the way you are. Just wake up today and say, my dear, if you miss work today, sometimes you don't understand that. It's not because they go to work and leave you, that means that they don't care. I just want us to bring that healthy balance in these few minutes. I know we're already almost running up. I just wanted to say that.
So Apostle Ambe, so now that we are talking about a healthy balance, what the man should do, what the man can do, what exactly are these things that, regardless of how busy or occupied a man is as a result of wanting to provide for his family, he must ensure that is done while his wife is pregnant, while they are expecting a child? Because now we don't say the woman is pregnant. In today's world, they say we are pregnant. The man and the woman, both of them are pregnant.
Naturally, without pregnancy, every woman needs attention. And a woman will need attention more in that condition. So how do you manage the fact that you are away, yet you are giving attention? That's a strategy. Communication. Very important. You could be in the office and you keep asking, how are you? Send her text messages, send her emojis. From time to time, you talk and laugh with her. She feels you. She feels you even though you are distant away. I said the telephone is the only tool that has taken those who are close to us, far away from us, and brought those who are far away from us close to us. You're sitting close to a woman, but you are far away in America with somebody on the phone. Why don't you make that relationship closer? So telephone has come to form a bridge, not a wall. I think when a woman is pregnant, she needs attention more than when she's not pregnant, because I think normally every woman needs attention. But a pregnant woman needs more attention. That's the first thing. Number two, it's good you share their worries.
Okay.
How do you feel today? No, I'm nauseating. This just nauseating. I'm feeling dizzy. Where Ashia, can I warm you water? When you are available, you do that. When you are far away, let your communication link also be very, very charged. Within that period. You can just create fun. Make her laugh. She will laugh, because sometimes laughter takes away stress. You distract her from the inconveniences around her. And when you have the opportunity to stay around her, actually make her feel that you are carrying the burden with her. Let her sometimes lie on your leg, or when she wants to put her leg on your shoulder, because sometimes the child will ask the woman to put your leg on her nose. That's where the child wants to settle, is that position. So give the nose. Give the nose, understanding very well that your wife under normal circumstances will not behave the way she's behaving. Apostle Alfred spoke about that because of education, women should know how to manage themselves. It's like you are telling a man to, because of education, you should not to manage labor. You don't manage labor. Labor is labor. Pregnancy is pregnancy. It comes along with a lot of things. It's like, women, now you are pregnant. When it is labor time, you have to be very careful. Don't cry, don't make any noise, because statistically speaking, you have to feel and minimize the pain. No. Alfred. Say your wife did not cry.
No, I mean women.
Say your wife.
To the hospital now.
They still cry.
But not like before.
It's one amongst 10.
Sometimes they will cry until you wonder
that is one amongst 10. That labor pain has not changed since the day God punished Eve with labor pain till today. It has not changed. Even the blood of Jesus that came on the cross.
Epidural is very expensive. If you want your wife to go through the process of not feeling the pain, epidural, it's quite expensive. How many of us can afford
So it's expensive. Now, coming back again to what a man's supposed to do, there are responsibilities you have to take. When a woman is getting closer and she finds that she's not fully prepared, she gets psychologically disturbed. Make sure you provide. Women can kill you for their children. I'm telling you the truth.
Yes.
That psychological imbalance, that the bath is not there, the bucket is not yet there, this is not yet there, that's a serious problem.
Yes, very serious.
Number 3, when they go to the hospital and run checks because they go for antenatal, and they find out that there are some complications, you have to carry that complications along with them. Because you can buy everything, she can put her leg on your neck, but when they say the child is not properly positioned and you don't say what are you going to do, she feels that you are a very wicked man. That means you have done 80% good. That absence of, it is her mood. She wants you to be fully involved in it, because why? She believes that you are the one that put her in that situation. So they believe that. And equally, Apostle Alfred is lucky. He heard his wife and was going, when my wife was in labor, I distanced myself because I would have been injured.
Oh, she was wild when she was in labor.
So let this man not preach this thing. This thing has to do with your wife.
How about
Some women will look at you and look at the student and say, you are a very wicked man. You put me into this nonsense and they will bite you. What are you talking about? So study your own. Don't go and follow up after what you have doing sports. So you have to understand these things. During my first child, my first baby is 16 years old. She's writing A levels this year. I was the one that held the mother. We went to the hospital, kept her in the hands of the nurses. So I was there as a very good man. As the labor was mounting and going further, And then she began, there's a time you hold everything. You hold table, you hold chair, you button the nurses, you so I realized that the thing was getting to some extent. I shifted. And that was the last time I went to the hospital when my wife was giving birth. I will only be called that she has delivered, I come. That's my own way. Apostle Alfred has his way. As you are watching this program, you should have your own way. You can't show my love for 9 months, and then the day you are not in the hospital, they say because you don't love her. You can't take 9 months love and compare for 1 month. So give them the attention, give them the food, because they believe within that period that anything you do wrong because you don't love them. You can show. I'll be this April coming will make me 18 years in marriage.
Wow.
Oh yeah, 18 years in marriage. So you can show a woman love for 15 years and do one wrong, she will tell you that you don't love her. During that pregnancy period, it becomes more complicated. Anything you do that is not balanced, it is a sign that you do not love them. So you have to be very sensitive also. I think those are the things you must put in place as a man to make sure that psychologically, emotionally, and then physically she's okay.
Okay, we take a few messages and then we'll have 1 or 2 more questions and then we call it a day. This one says, good evening to the team. Should a couple stay for some months or a year before getting pregnant and enjoy honeymoon, or get her pregnant immediately after marriage? Apostle Lefo, you answer that because the question I was about to ask you is about matters of the bathroom anyway. Okay. This one says, good evening, my name is Jack Helvin Tendo. When a woman is pregnant, can you make the child to read the book? I don't understand, like read a book to a child? Obviously, I think it's a good thing. A lot of doctors say that. Pregnancy involves serious preparation, emotional, financial, physical, and more. So couples must plan this out together. This involves planning even the future of the child. The main preparation, I think, should come from the man. Mood changes from the woman. I asked her intestines of a goat at 10 p.m. to eat. Move from Good evening to you all in the studio. I think what you guys are doing is great. Nice program. My question goes thus. Does the woman's behavior determine the type of child she's going to give birth to? No. Jarvis of Amanda Appostle Ambe says no. So before a couple even decides to bring forth a child, they must be able to be ideal parents. That's making yourself adaptable to the different situations that can occur. Remember, we live in a world that is very uncertain. You must expect the unexpected. This is my first time watching the program. It's very amazing. I love it. Yakubu Yusuf from Nigeria, thank you. Hi, panelists. Most women nag in pregnancy when their husbands are around them. If he's not around, she comports herself. Tambe.
You hear what I'm talking about?
Tambe from Cascade. Apostle said women like attention. Says women like attention. So if you give her the attention, yes.
Who pays attention? Is it not me?
That's what I'm saying. I said you said women like attention, yes. So let's give them the attention. Hi, good evening to you all in the studio. My name is Sonne from Ikondo Titi. This program is so educative and it is a blessing to me and my family. Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Evodia from Yaounde. What about those men that beat up their pregnant wives? How do you explain this attitude? We've had some really crazy. Apostle, you quickly talk on that before we head on.
Please, it's not a man who say these men that beat their pregnant wives. You are trying to categorize an animal.
He's running away from something.
With the attributes of a human. You must be heartless and a beast to beat a woman that is pregnant. It is out of proportion. I don't care her crime. Yeah. Even if in that pregnancy she went and slept with somebody else, the best you can do is to walk away. Yeah. Don't beat a pregnant woman. That's suicide.
Thank you so much, Apostle. One of our viewers had asked.
Yes. A question.
Yes.
Do you want to mention with something you wanted to ask?
No, the question I was about to ask is how do we continue to spice up matters of the bedroom, even when Madame is. I
don't know why you decided to ask me that question.
But really pregnant.
No, you can't do it.
Okay, let me just start with the question the person asked.
Yes.
First thing is, I always advise, especially young couples. You know, one of the things that I'm brought on this panel is you see most of these people are quite ahead. I'm like a generation behind them, and there's a lot I'm bringing also that is coming. I'm 8 years, he's 18 years. That's something worth commending.
Of course.
Yes, we are still hoping to get there one day, but at least I'm 8 years, and that's something for my age, my generation. And I will say this, I always advise people, at least give yourself 1 year, especially if you get married as young as I was. Because pregnancy changes everything. The truth is, a child changes everything. Enjoy your wife. They call it wife of your youth. Enjoy it, because there will be changes in the body, there will be changes in finances, there will be pressure, there will be a lot of things. And as we have said here a lot of times, with research, the number one challenge, even in breaking up and everything, is financial. Yes. And you will discover it has to do with responsibility. So pregnancy comes with a lot of responsibility. Personally, when I was getting married, my parents said, so we'll come after 9 months. I said, to where? I warned them. It was a deal I already made with my wife. She knows. I told them, I'm getting married young, but I'm not giving birth. I will take at least 2 years. Then after 2 years, I will now discuss whether we are ready, both emotionally, financially, everything. I knew where my ministry was. I knew where my work was. I knew the stage of my life. And I knew that why I'm getting married does not mean pregnancy immediately. And I took 2 years. And that's why I'm 8 years and my daughter is still to turn 5. So after that 2 years, we now looked at it. I was say, okay, now we can do it. So that we know by the 3rd year into marriage, a child is coming forth. So we were quite ready and prepared, and you discover it makes the relationship quite sweeter. So even in the bedroom, and I want to make this, they even actually, some men are afraid to sleep with pregnant women. Let me tell you, medically they even advise you to do it, and do it even more often. There is no change. It will be sweet. It's still nice, I'm telling you. But the only challenge is there might be some styles that you avoid. But there's still a lot of healthy and good styles to keep it kicking, and you would still enjoy it.
So the atmosphere, the chemistry in the bedroom should remain the same.
It can, but the woman also has a role to play, because sometimes there is the nauseating, the spitting, and it just
depends on the health condition.
The health condition, yes, and all of those kind of things.
So the man shouldn't expect so much from her.
Yeah, so much.
Yes,
especially when she's not putting.
But at the same time, some women also expect a lot, and some men are running away from it. I'm saying this because I've also talked with it. Some women actually instead are excited, are looking forward to it, and wanted it, but some men are running.
Some women do run away from it.
Yes, some women also run away from it. So it's not a very fixed thing. It just depends on the couple. But we are trying to say that there is nothing wrong with it, and if the woman is also running from it, men also should lower their expectation. Give it time. You know, a lot of changes come with this. But we are saying that you can still enjoy sex, and it's still a beautiful thing. Because this is the end, I just want to use this 1 minute to say this, because I know we're already running up. Please. 2 things I want to say. I'm glad to announce that TLC 2023 is here, and we are glad to say we are calling for volunteers. The biggest youth exhibition in the nation come November. So if you'd like to volunteer in this project and you're in the Southwest region, please, you can contact me on Facebook, Lefo Divine, and I'll give you my number. And secondly, Meet the Love Doctor Live, the 7th season is coming up Sunday the 20th with theme Choosing the Right Partner. It's a special hangout with me, and we will talk live on this question, on this topic, and you can ask any question you have ever wanted to ask me live, one-on-one. Chariot Hotel in Boya. VIP is 10,000 francs. You get a bottle of drink, a wine, and you come with 1 person. Then regular is just 3,000 francs for 1 person. It's open to all singles, couples. Join me if you want to get a ticket. 675528266. I repeat, 675528266. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Your last words, Apostle Alfred.
Yeah, it's a very powerful thing to talk to the people. But please, let me tell you something. If you get married, in our African custom, they expect you to just get pregnant, at least have the first child, and then you can keep a distance to be able to have the other ones for some kind of things. If not, they will begin to suspect that you cannot put to bed, and it'll become a problem. So we advise that when you get married, give birth to at least the first child before you start keeping distance for the other ones is going to be. So thank you very much, and I know that a lot of you want to call us to ask questions. Please, you feel free to get back to us.
Thank you so much. Your last words, Apostle Ambe.
Yeah, please, African men, carry your ancient culture and your orientation out of your mind. Don't punish innocent women. They are not creators of children. They are channels through which God brings children upon the earth, firstly. Secondly, as somebody who is married, adapt to the changes that comes up with your wife. Please learn to bear with them. They are very fragile at that level. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for having been with us on the program this Tuesday night. And of course, many thanks to all our viewers, those who watched us from the comfort of their homes as well as on social media. We hope you stay tuned to interesting programs on My Media Prime Television, The African Eye. Good night.